Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of our MCA review. Today we're talking about equations and inequalities. So we're going to start with some equations and inequalities. These are going to be 1 or 2 step equations or inequalities. So what we have first is m divided by 4 minus 3 equals 9. So what we got to do is get rid of everything else other than the m. So we're going to start by adding 3 because it's a minus 3, so we do the opposite, and we get m divided by 4 equals 9 plus 3, which is 12. Now we still need to get m by itself, so 4 is being divided by m, so what we're going to do is the opposite, so multiply by 4. When we do that, we get m equals 12 times 4, which becomes 48. So m equals 48. Here we have an inequality. This doesn't change the process that we do. We still have to add 4. So we get 6m is less than 18. Then we divide by 6. And m is now less than 3. Here we have a divided by negative 5 is greater than or equal to 11. So we have a division problem, which means we're going to multiply by negative 5. When we multiply this, we get a. Now, this is a special rule. When we multiply or divide by a negative, we have to flip the sign. So instead of greater than or equal to right now, we're going to have a less than or equal to. 11 times negative 5 is negative 55. So a is less than or equal to negative 55. Over here, we're going to subtract 11. Now it's just an equal sign, so it's easier. We don't have to worry about flipping anything. So we get 2g equals 14. Divide by 2, and g equals 7. Alright, now we have variables on both sides, some of these, and others are a little bit more multi-step problems. So when we have variables on both sides, we need to move one of them over to get a variable only on one side. So it looks like I'm going to move the 4m because that is going to give me a positive number. 8m minus 4m is going to give me 4m. Minus 7 is less than 5. Here we're going to add 7. And we get 4m. We'll keep the sign less than because we're only adding. 5 plus 7 gives us 12. Divide by 4. And m is less than 3. Here what I see first are parentheses. So what I'm going to do with those is I am going to distribute the 3. So 3 times 2y is going to give 6y. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 equals 4y minus 7. Here I'm going to subtract the 4y so I can get my variables to be positive and on the same side. So we get negative 7 equals 2y minus 15. Then we're going to add 15 to both sides. What we do on one side, we need to do to the other. Negative 7 plus 15, that gives us 22. Or not 22, hold on. So negative 7, that's going to give us 8 equals 2y. Divide by 2, and y is going to equal 4. Here what I see is two variables, but they're on the same side. What that means is I can combine them, combine like terms. 4d minus 2d is going to give us 2d. So 4d minus 2d minus 3 equals a negative 15. Now we're going to add 3 because we're doing the opposite to get 2d equals a negative 12. Divide by 2, and d equals a negative 6. Here we're distributing the 7. So we get negative 7p. Now a negative 7 times a negative 12 is going to give us a positive, so a plus. So 12 times 7 is going to give us 84, which is greater than or equal to negative 14. So here we're going to subtract 84. And get negative 7p is greater than or equal to a negative 98. So now we divide by a negative 7. Now when we divide by a negative number, we're going to have to flip our sign, so it's now going to be a less than or equal to. This is going to be p. 98 divided by 7 is going to give us 14. So p has to be less than or equal to 14. Alright, now we have some and or inequalities. So we're going to solve this, then graph it. So I see an or here, so I'm going to put a line here to separate our two problems. Here I'm going to subtract 3 to get 2x is greater than 6, or less than 6. Divide by 2, and we get x is less than 3. Here we're adding 6. So we get 3x is greater than 18. Divide that by 3. And x is greater than 6. So now we have to graph this. Now we're going to graph it by drawing a number line. We're going to have two dots, or two places. We're going to have 3 on the lesser than side and 6 on the greater than side. Now these tell us what kind of dot to make on our number line. Because they're only less than and greater than, and not less than or greater than, less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, we're going to make an open circle at both of these. The arrow tells us which way to point. So this one is saying point to the left. This one is saying point to the right. So when we have or inequalities, we're going to have arrows pointing in different directions, away from each other. Here we're going to make two lines down, because we have to figure out what's in the middle first. Now the first thing we got to do is subtract the 4. When we subtract 4 from the middle, we also have to subtract 4 from the outsides. So 10 minus 4, well, that gives us 6, which is less than or equal to negative 2y is now the only thing in the middle. 24 minus 4 is less than or equal to 20. Now we divide by negative 2. So we divide everything by negative 2. 6 divided by negative 2 gives us negative 3. We divided by a negative number, so we have to flip our sign. We're left with y in the middle. And 20 divided by negative 2 is negative 10. We also have to flip this sign. So now what I'm going to do is turn this into two problems. This is going to be 1. Now I can never have my variable on the right side, so I'm going to flip this so it goes y is less than or equal to negative 3. I just flipped the whole thing. The second problem is going to give this y, but it's going to be y is greater than or equal to negative 10. So if we draw our number line, this time the lesser one is negative 10. The greater one is negative 3 because it's closer to 0. This time it's or equal to, so we're going to draw a closed circle at both points. The negative 10 is pointing to the right, and the negative 3 is pointing to the left, so our lines are going to touch. Alright, this one, I'm going to draw 2 lines down. In the middle now we have to distribute, so 5 times 3p is going to give us 15p. 5 times negative 2, that's negative 10. And now we have 20 and negative 15. Now we're going to add 10 to both sides. So negative 15 plus 10, that's going to give us a negative 5, is less than or equal to 15p, is less than 30. Divide by 15. Now it's a positive number, so we don't need to flip our signs. So we get a negative 1/3 is less than or equal to p, which is less than or less than 2. So if I split these up into 2, we get p is greater than or equal to negative 1/3, and p is less than 2. So our number line, our lesser one is going to be negative 1/3. Our greater one is 2. Now this time we're going to have different dots because the negative 1/3 has this line underneath it. So that's going to be a closed circle. The 2 doesn't have a line under it, so that's going to be an open circle. The 2 is pointing to the right, or the left, and the negative 1/3 is pointing to the right. So they're going to meet in the middle. Here we have to write this number in scientific notation. So this is a little bit of a review from day 1. So we need to move our decimal point so we get a number between 1 and 0. So I'm going to move it 1, 2, 3 spots, because then I get 3.102. Once we get that, we can do times 10, and this is a small number, so it's going to be a negative exponent. We move 3 spaces, so it's going to be a negative 3. Standard form, we're going to write a bigger number, so 1 and 7. This one is saying move it 6 spaces, so I'm going to start here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to add zeros to all these empty spaces, so I get a big number with a positive